How to build a Blackgates Sweet Pea 5-inch gauge locomotive, part 52. Mounting the footplate on the right hand side was a simple job, but mounting the left hand footplate involved removing the reversing stand bracket, which was not difficult at all, just a bit more tedious. The first thing to do in this video is to finish where I left off in the previous one. I'm drilling the pilot holes through into the metal bar whilst it's clamped to the buffer beam. Then it's over to the drilling machine to drill two holes which are 9/64 of an inch in diameter, which, as I mentioned in the previous episode, is clearance size for 4BA. And I drilled them exactly on the marks that I made with the drill through the buffer beam. After drilling the support bars, I then used the same drill bit in my electric hand drill, which is a DeWalt as you can see, and drill through the buffer beam. This clip shows me deburring the other side. Now all I have to do is hope that everything lines up. Without further modification, the holes lined up perfectly, and here I'm fitting washers and 4BA nuts to the 4BA bolts. Using a combination of a spanner and a socket, I'm tightening up the nuts and bolts. They don't need to be very tight because I will be dismantling all these to paint them. Now for the fun part, I fitted the support rail to the chassis. And the reverser stand is just slightly higher than it should be. There's only one thing for it: remove it and make some modifications. I don't want to remove any more metal from the top of this, it's thin enough already. And I don't want to modify the holes in the bracket. They're more or less in the right place to suit the holes in the chassis. Today I'm going to visit my friend Andrew to see how he's going on with his triple expansion engine. Andrew had a criticism of my channel, and that is the way I pronounce the word chassis or chassis. More about my speech impediment later. It's top tip time. First of all, with a big caution, do not do this. I'm actually using a 3/16 of an inch diameter end mill in an electric drill. And this is a no-no, but it works. I'm only removing an infinitesimal amount of metal because I don't need to move the position of the reverser stand very much. I'm really controlling where the electric drill goes. I need it to cut in a downward direction only. And it must not, under any circumstances, chatter. This is only a 3/16 of an inch end mill. It's not a slot drill, it's got more cutting area, and it's actually quite easy to control. This is the problem working on something that someone else has made. These holes were not in exactly the right position to suit the casting. In no time at all, the holes are very slightly elongated. The alternative to this, which is safer, is to use a needle file, but I don't think my lifespan is going to be long enough. I noticed that when I drill the chassis, and yes, I've said it correctly this time, the chassis becomes magnetic in the area where I'm working. It must be the magnetic field from the electric drill that's magnetising the metal locally. In this clip, I'm very slightly trimming the casting, and I'm being very careful to keep my fingers away from the cutting edge of the end mill. They may look close to the action, but believe me, they are not. I need each and every one of my fingers not to be damaged, as I am a keyboard player. Here is a slight modification to the casting, and as you can clearly see, it really is not much at all. And here it is, bolted back in position. Now it is perfectly level with the steel bar fastened to the main chassis. When I try the footplate in place, it's perfect. So what's with my pronunciation of this word chassis or chassis? I've always had a bit of a speech impediment, and the letter S is a big problem for me. I could not pronounce my eth. I was ridiculed for this when I got to the secondary school, but hey-ho, there was a method that fixed it. All I did for a couple of months every morning was stand in front of the bathroom mirror practicing how to say the letter S. I still have the impediment, but I can now say S's all day long. It's time now to see how the cab fits on the footplate. I don't know where this cab came from. It's nothing like the design in the book, and I don't personally like it. It's laser cut, and I don't think it's really for a sweet pea, but anyway, My friend James Evans, the young man who's going to take possession of this engine when it's finished, when I suggested making a cab to the design in the book, he was not impressed. So this is what I'm going to work with. It needs some reinforcement and some modifications, but I'm sure it will work out okay in the end. At the moment, the cab is held together using nuts and bolts, but I will use rivets when I finish it. The original design of a Sweet Pea locomotive shows two pieces of brass angle down the side of the footplate, pretty much like this but a bit shorter. The drawing also shows the footplate rounded at the front, but there's no room to do that with this cab, it's too big. It's time to improvise. I think this is an improvement for two reasons. One is it's steel, it will take paint better and won't chip, and the other thing is it will support the floor and the cab at the outside edge, and also allow me to use threaded 4BA bolts rather than nuts and bolts to hold everything together. I need to trim one end so that it fits up against the existing support on the buffer beam. I marked the position on the ends of the pieces of steel and fitted them into my milling machine. I need to modify the size of the ends of these two bars. And the machining needs to be accurate because I will be fixing these bars to the buffer beam support. As usual, I did this more or less by eye. I'm not entirely stupid, and I do realise that this is not the best way to use a milling machine, but this is a very quick and very simple job, and I've been doing it for a long time. Not this specific job, generally milling bits of metal. Call it beginner's luck, but the piece of steel was a perfect fit up against the buffer beam support. I marked these pieces of steel left and right, so I knew which one went on the left and which one went on the right. I'm also going to mount a piece of steel at the front of the footplate. But not this stuff, it's stainless steel and it's unnecessarily hard. I need to buy some more metal from Blackgates Engineering. In this shot I fitted the front plate. The buffer beam mountings for the front panel are already in place, so that's it for now. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.